Are you an adventurer looking to take your hunt to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to East Meets West Hunt with your host, Beau Martonik.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the East Meets West Hunt podcast. And if this is the first time that you're joining, welcome. So on today's episode, I am joined by Michael R. Shea. He's an outdoor writer and the author of this new book, Rimfire Revolution, a complete guide to modern .22 rifles. We talked at the Total Archery Challenge about a month ago about getting into writing in the hunting industry, how squirrel hunting shaped his hunting today, how practicing with a .22 relates to big game hunting, whitetails, and what it's like working for Black Rifle Coffee Company. This episode is brought to you by onX. The onX Hunt app is your premier GPS hunting app that turns your phone into a working GPS. This time of year, I am scouring the maps on the desktop version of the app to look for areas to scout during the spring, as well as potential hunting locations for my annual Western hunt. The new 3D feature makes it convenient to look for hidden benches and understand the lay of the land. If you want to check out the onX Hunt app for yourself, head over to onxmaps.com and use the coupon code EMW to save 20%. Tethered is a company that is founded on the principles of educating the hunting community on saddle hunting, while creating the most innovative, lightweight, safe products for saddle hunting. I'm currently using the Phantom saddle system with the Predator platform for all my mobile hunts. I just added the lighter weight, smaller 8mm ropes to my tackle and just continuing kind of tweaking my system this summer. To learn more about tethered and saddle hunting, head over to tetherednation.com. Maven is building the highest quality optics at half of the price of their competitors through their direct-to-consumer business model. And they just basically want to create the best optics for the job, period. Their products are backed with a lifetime no-fault warranty and an incredible customer experience. Maven just released their new RS5 4-24 by 50mm single focal plane rifle scope. That's built for those that require the precision of the long-range dialing with the fine reticle benefits of a second focal plane. If you use the coupon code EastMeetsWest-GIFT, you'll get a free gift with any full-price optics order at mavenbuilt.com. And last but not least, Spartan Forge. Hunters require an accurate forecast for the best hunting days and the best hunting spots to save time on scouting and actually executing the hunts. The Spartan Forge outfitter utilizes years of military background and machine learning to pull from millions of data points to accurately predict deer movement, including GPS data, 30 years of weather, academic, and state research. They're using science rather than someone's opinion to figure out the movement for your area. You can use the code EastMeetsWest to save 25% off of the outfitter at SpartanForge.ai. And as I've been kind of alluding to here for a little while, the app is in process. It's being tested and should release here later this summer. So stay tuned for that, and you might want to grab it now to save some money so you're locked in before the app releases. For this week's Mountain Buck Story of the Week, the story comes from Justin Crosley. So I have the picture shared over on social media for the weekly Mountain Buck Monday post, and this thing is a true Pennsylvania giant. So I can't believe I missed this story. Justin sent this to me almost a year ago, and somehow I lost it in my list and just came upon it again. So I apologize, Justin, if you're listening to this. I just completely missed posting this up. So anyways, the story goes, I chose to take a day and speed scout some points and saddles in a new area of the Big Woods in PA. The next weekend, I headed into where I found the best sign, but I got in a little later than I'd wanted to, and it cost me an opportunity at a big deer. He came in while I was pulling up the bow, and I had no chance. After I gathered my composure, I had another nice buck sneaking behind me, and he got my wind. After blowing 20 plus times, he trotted off. Knowing that a deer blowing does not mean the end of the world, I hit the antlers together for a short sequence. 10 minutes later, and I had two does come by at 30 yards. Then behind them, I saw a giant beam sticking out from behind a tree. The buck followed the does, and I let the arrow fly. I saw the hit, and it looked like it was a liver hit, so I just backed out. After 6.5 hours, I headed in with help from my stepdad and best friend. We tracked the buck for 500 yards before he even slowed down to a walk. 50 yards later, we found him lying in his first and only bed. The biggest buck of my life, a true public land giant. And he's not lying when he says it's a true public land giant. This thing is incredible. I think there's some lessons that can be learned from this story as well. Is how it went 500 yards without slowing down, and then ended up finding it only 50 yards later from that, and its first and only bed. If you're a bow hunter or any hunter really, at some point you're going to have a less than ideal hit, and just not giving up on it and truly giving it every chance possible to be able to find that animal is extremely important to me, and I think it should be for everybody. So hats off to Justin for just keeping after it and able to recover this giant whitetail. So head over on East Meets West Hunt on Instagram and East Meets West Outdoors on Facebook and check out this deer. It's pretty incredible and a great story to go along with it. And the only news I got this week is the final mountain buck scouting video series video is releasing on my YouTube channel this Wednesday. So it's the final one of this year as far as the long drawn out series. So these I'll be releasing a bunch of other shorter videos as we go out throughout the year, but this is fully encompassing. The series was designed to lay it all out there and kind of go through some of my strategies throughout the different parts of the year. And this last video has to do with late season hunting. And so I dive completely into showing you how I e-scout for it, what I'm looking for, what I'm doing when I put boots on the ground, what are the key things to focus on this time of year, and how to set up. And I'm showing that through that. And this series, the last 4 videos at least, were all focused around one specific area that I had e-scouted and went in and took a look at. So, and just disclosure, the map that I use in the video is not the map that, and same with the drone footage. I pick different areas so that they don't get blown out, and I don't want anybody heading into these areas in case they are somebody's just thinking that all this good deer signs in there. So I try to keep things under wraps for my own personal reasons, and I don't want to blow out anybody else's thing. So anything I use are examples that look very, very similar to a situation where I actually go in. So just wanted to put that out there. But the entire series is around one location, showing how I went in and scouted it and was able to find hunting locations for every part of the deer season. So my YouTube channel is just my name, Beau Martonik, and go check that out. All right, let's jump into this episode with Michael Shea. His book is now available over on Amazon at the time of recording this. It wasn't out just yet, but I got a link here in the show notes if you want to go take a look at it. So anyways, I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, we're live. Michael R. Shea, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We're sitting in the Yeti tent, kind of staying out of the heat a little bit at the Total Archery Challenge.
Yeah, it's a hot day.
Yeah, it really is. And so you work for Black Rifle Coffee Company, correct?
Yes, indeed. New job for me. I started about a year ago, but my background is outdoor writing and video work. I've been with Field and Stream for a long time. I'm still an editor at large over there. I've done a lot of work for Gun Digest, Outdoor Life, Peterson's Hunting, Ducks Unlimited. So I've been freelance for about 10 years before I got this gig with Black Rifle.
Really? So how did you get into writing?
Oh man, honestly, as a kid, in high school, it was about the only thing I could do that was better than other people. It's the only thing I excelled at. And I started off as a newspaper reporter. I went to college. I worked for a college newspaper, and then I was doing mainstream journalism. I worked at a small newspaper in South Carolina, and then California, and I started hunting in California. I was in my early 20s, so I didn't grow up hunting.
Oh, okay.
And man, I was hooked. And newspapers were kind of falling apart. Like Craigslist was cannibalizing. The internet was ruining them. There's no local newspapers anymore, and that was starting. No good ones. And I went to grad school in New York, and I was writing all these like little stories in this writing class on like duck hunting. And my buddy walked in and he's like, Outdoor Life is looking for an intern. You'd be perfect. And so like I wrote them a letter and I was like, I'd be perfect. And they wrote me back and were like, you're perfect. And so literally it started like a 10-year relationship with Outdoor Life and Field and Stream. Same company owned both titles.
Yeah.
And I eventually moved more onto kind of the Field and Stream side. I was a staffer there for a little while, and then ended up leaving that, but was still contracting a bunch of work for them, and then started freelancing for like Peterson's and DU and all those places.
Nice. So you've been doing that full time then for this whole freelancing for the last 10 years until you came to Black Rifle?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's
Black
awesome.
Rifle was my first like W-2 income in 10 years. Nine and a half years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So how has it been building that? So the Free Range American, that's the blog. Is that the way you put it?
Yeah. So basically like how they found me and what they wanted to is, Black Rifle Coffee, it comes out of the special operations community, the veteran community, the military community. All these guys are home now. They're businessmen, they're roasting coffee, but just like me and you, all their free time, all their free money is getting wrapped up in doing outdoor stuff, right?
Yep.
The whole company, people hunt, fish, bow hunt. We sponsor TAC. We come in and we shoot TACs. And so they wanted to basically spin up like an outdoor media brand. And we have a military news website, Coffee or Die, that's super successful. And they were like, let's do a hunting and fishing version of this. So they were looking for an outdoor editor to basically help get that project off the ground, which became Free Range American. And we're brand new. It just launched in October, but we've done some pretty rad trips and stories, and like we have some great writers working for us. So
Yeah, I saw my buddy Todd Bumgardner wrote something for you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Todd reached out to me. It was like I think a random like Instagram kind of connection, and he's a fitness guy, and like it's really hard as an editor to find high quality fitness writers because it's so like unless you're in the fitness world, like talking about how to do a routine the way they whiteboard stuff, it's just like it's a really complicated world. And so I'm always looking for fitness writers, I guess. And he reached out, and I was like, yeah, man, we'll give you a try. And I really didn't think much of it because a lot of people reach out, and I give a lot of people tries. But, man, he panned out. Like, he's taking good photos. He's got good ideas. It's, like, super clear stuff. So I'm bullish on Todd right now.
Todd is awesome. He trains me now. So
awesome.
I don't remember if he reached out to me or I reached out to him. We have a mutual friend, Matt Comment, who's an incredible big game hunter, and Matt talked to me about Todd, and so I started following him and everything, and I'm like, I like his philosophy on things, and I think he reached out to me about something. I was like, hey, I want to have you on the podcast, and because what you're talking about is different than anything else I've been seeing.
Absolutely.
And he breaks it down in such a way, and he's like, I want to train you for your mule deer hunt, and I was like, hell yeah, that would be awesome. And I just was on the phone with him yesterday for 45 minutes talking about some business things, and he's just an incredible human. He's just all around good guy.
Yeah, he just did like he did an article for us recently on like staying consistent, right?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of us, like me included, like I am not in the shape. I got 2 little kids. I'm not in the shape that I was 5 years ago before I had kids, And so getting back on the horse, getting started, how do you bring back like I used to run marathons. Like I don't know, I'd suck out at a 5K right now, right?
Yeah.
And so like how do you get back on the horse? And so he wrote this thing about staying consistent and kind of how to do that.
Yeah.
And And it was great because it was just full of like tips, like where's the weakness, what do you do? So like one of them, get a coach, you know. Another one was like have like a minimum plan. Like every day I'm going to do 50 push-ups and 50 sit-ups, no matter what, no matter how the day goes.
Yep.
And so like he's seeing the problem we all know, because everybody's, I think, fitness kind of ebbs and wanes. You get into it for a while and then it slows down and whatnot. And he kind of just approached that as like, here are like 4 like really basic solutions to fight that. Which is what I mean when I'm saying like finding a good fitness writer, like a guy who thinks about it in those terms and doesn't want to just tell you how to do a better squat. Yeah. Like that's fucking valuable.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Like he was able to break things down in a way for me, like, and I'm like, you know, or like when I was traveling, I just got back from seeing my girlfriend. I got back at 4 a.m. on Wednesday and had to go to work at 6. And I was like, hey man, I'm gonna have to try to get my workout in after work. Normally I do it beforehand. He's like, no, you need to rest. He's like, you need to rest today. Tomorrow we're going to get you back into it slowly. And he thinks about it in a way that's manageable for people that are busy and doing stuff. But like, you know, it's not overbearing. You know, if you're not, you know, dying, you're not working out. And like, he gives it to you in a really cool way.
Yeah, yeah. I did a fitness seminar. I actually wrote about it on FRA. Jim Jones. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
It's almost like CrossFit on like high octane CrossFit is kind of the best way to describe it. They'd probably not like me comparing it to CrossFit, but it's
high intensity.
It's high intensity type stuff, but it's more attitude, you know. And at that seminar, one of the things they kept talking about was sleep and recovery. And they said if you, like as a man, if you sleep for 9 solid hours a night in a fully blacked out room, your testosterone will raise by 50%. 50%.
Really?
Yeah. And I become good buddies. I was actually just bear hunting with the instructor at that, Curtis. He takes photos for us. And I've heard him say it like 3 or 4 times since then. Like sleep is paramount.
Ah, man. I need to get so much better. Sleep is my absolute worst thing. For a while there, I was doing between 4 to 5 hours a night. And then this year I made it a goal to try to get to 7. And I've been getting about 6.5 consistently, but I still need to improve on that. Because I realize even though I'm staying up later to work on stuff, I'm not efficient.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think, as good. And like throughout the day, like if you get more sleep, you're better in that time frame that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
It makes you, like you said, more efficient in the time you have.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did to try to hack that is I get up super early. So like I set my alarm at 4 a.m. and get up and get after it, just because if I have like 3 hours of downtime and it starts at 8 o'clock at night, I fucking watch Netflix or like bullshit with my wife or whatnot, which is great. It's good to spend time with your wife.
Yeah.
But if I have 3 hours in the first thing in the morning, I'm either writing or editing video or running or lifting. It's like it's a way to make more productive time because it's early. So.
Yeah. No, I'm a morning person too. My alarm set it's at 4:18 is my time. I always joke I have this weird like thing where I have to have not an even number or not a regular number. You know, it's just random. But I have it down 4:18. I get up and I go work out, and then I shower and I go to work, and that gets me set. For the day and get me going. Because otherwise, I realize if I try to work out in the evening, I can make excuses or I'm tired. If you have a long day at work and you're mentally drained, it's so much harder.
Yeah. And it's nicer to like have that stuff accomplished by dinner time.
Yeah.
And then dinner, and then you can actually do all those nice things and not feel like I got to go grind still.
Yeah. Totally. So you're a gun nut. How did you kind of get into that?
Oh, man. I just... I think we were just talking about it. I just wrote a book. It's coming out soon, or will be out, on 22 rifles, Rimfire rifles.
Yeah.
And I always feel like an evangelist or like a power dork talking about this, but man, it is a rad world. Like if you like accuracy and precision, like they are. It's just a neat world. So like I got into hunting, right? Like hunting is kind of what brought me into archery, to everything. And even still, like if I do big game hunts, like I say probably 80% of my traveling hunts are bow hunts, right? But I started small game hunting with my buddy down south, and we started shooting squirrels. And so the way they hunt them down there is they use scoped rimfire rifles. And you're getting up early, you're scouting pattern them, so you know the squirrels are hitting, say, pignut trees, and you know where there's a grove of them. So we're going to these huge blocks of public land, setting up and waiting them out. And then these squirrels would pop out at 40, 50, 80 yards, and then you're shooting them in the head with a 17 or 22. And it's like, it's so fun. Like I can't describe how rad those trips are, and it's almost like it's a lot like still hunting for deer. And I can see how, like, back in the day, like you'd always start a kid squirrel hunting to work them into deer hunting. It's just like you're moving through the woods like you're still hunting deer. Got to be quiet, got to be camoed up, get set, listen for them, and then make these shots. And so once I started doing that, I said, well, I need a better rifle. And I got into some of these German rifles. I got an Anschutz, and I got what was called a 17 Mach 2, which I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a 22 long rifle, but it's neck down to a 17. And I wrote the story in Field and Stream on this squirrel hunter who used this kind of rifle. And I got on Gunbroker right afterwards. I found one, and I was like, "Oh, it's buy," you know. And so I got this German rifle, and I'm going to set it up. And I put the target at 25 yards because I didn't really know that it could be as accurate as it was further. And I shot, and it was high on the target. And then I scoped it down, shot again, and 10 ringed it, 25 yards, right in the X, 10 ring. Cycled, shot again, and I missed. Cycled, shot again, shot 3 more, shot my 5. I was like, I was like, the scope's loose or something, the rings are loose or something. And when I walked up 25 yards to the target, those 4 shots were the same hole. I mean, like, the rim of a 22 would not fall through the paper. It was that tight. And it was, dude, like, mind blown. Like, I didn't think you could do this with rifles, you know? And it just opened this door for me. And, like, being an outdoor writer, like, I'd, you know, done some stuff with hunting rifles and handgun stuff and whatnot. But the accuracy and precision that you get with these rimfires, like, I just fell down the rabbit hole, man. I wrote a ton about them for Field and Stream, ton about them for Gun Digest, and then it just kind of felt like late last year, like writing a book of like the complete guide to these things was, it just felt like a natural move.
So, like, when I grew up, I grew up in a hunting family, and, like, I remember I'd go over to my grandpa's house, and me and my brother, he started us off with BB guns, and, you know, then we eventually moved up to 22s, and that's what, he'd send us out hunting squirrels, and that's what we had to do. So, that was what we would do all day, like, just posting up, you know, one's coming out, we're, you know, watching it and kind of slipping through and trying to make those precision shots, and I love, one, that was fun. Like, growing up as a kid, that was amazing. And two, like you said, it crossed over to so much, like with deer and still hunting and learning about being silent and doing all that different stuff. And it's funny, I think you would get along so well with my brother. So my brother, he's a veteran who is a gunsmith now. Oh, awesome. And he works for C Sharps. Yeah. So he just started working for them last October. Awesome. And he builds a bunch of different rifles, and even at his house, he's got it all set up, and he geeks out on that stuff. Yeah, he's a gun fanatic. I've always been like a bow guy, and he's always been like, he's never bow hunted. He's just all been about guns. He loves old rifles, and when he goes on hunts, he's always taking these old rifles that he's modified and done all this stuff and absolutely loves it. So.
Yeah, and man, like, it seems like a lot of guys go one way or the other, but I really, like, we're here at a Total Archery Challenge. Like, I like bow hunting whitetails or bow hunting out west. Like, I live for that. But shooting rifles and, like, shooting, like, I run a match, an NRL 22 match, and, like, precision shooting competing, I'm wild about it. Like, it's But it hasn't really fully translated to like me planning big like rifle trips out west yet. I'm still just not there. I very much look at it like one is shooting and the other's hunting.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I learned a little bit about it last year because I haven't rifle hunted in quite a few years, not because I didn't like it or anything. I love bow hunting so much, and normally I would fill my tag before rifle season in Pennsylvania would come along, and then when I go out west, I would just do bow hunting trips. Well, the last year I didn't fill my tag, and I went to Alaska and I decided to take a rifle, and I got into that kind of game, and one of my best friends, he's in the SEAL teams, and he was trying to help me learn how to shoot long range and stuff. And I didn't have a whole lot of time, and he's just like, he kind of shook his head at me. He's just like, you got this awesome rifle, and you could shoot so far with that. And and I wasn't shooting that far with it, but it was just funny. But I learned that like the rifle, the precision rifle community and stuff is so similar to bow hunters.
100%, man. Yeah.
It is so similar, and that was something that I didn't understand the parallels before.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you go to a big NRL match, and it has the same vibe as TAC, and it's the same like guys working on bows, guys working on rifles, swapping gear, discussing what's working, what isn't.
Yep. Definitely. So how did that? All right, so. In your book and everything, and you were talking to me a little bit before about how that kind of how that's translated to you being a better long range shooter with higher calibers.
Yeah. So that was that was first off like never really my intention. I really looked at it as like one way to small game hunt in August, where things are usually typically pretty slow, and September. And then the fun of shooting these matches. So I started a local NRL 22 match. We get about a dozen guys a month. We do it through the summer. And you're engaging targets at our place to 200 yards. And so like a typical course of fire is 10 rounds, and you're shooting off a barricade or prone, or, there's always 3 barricade stages and then 2 prone stages. And you might have to engage a target at 25 yards, 50 yards, 75 yards, and 100, and like 1, 2, 3, 4, then back down the ladder. And so you're jumping distances, right? You're shooting hard left, and then you're turning on your course of fire and shooting like a hard right, and you're doing this all very quickly on a clock. So you have to learn how to use the reticle in your scope. You have to learn like what your drops are at these different ranges, and then you have to manipulate the rifle. So everything from like trigger control to like how's your prone position, breathing, like all the fundamental basics. And so doing this match and then shooting a lot of it, you just naturally become a better rifle shot. And so because I live in New York, I don't have a lot of places where I can shoot like 1,000 yards. But now with this job, that's changed a lot. So like I was just in Texas at the FTW ranch, and we did the dangerous game course prior to some of the guys going to Kodiak to bear hunt. And we did like basically like a PRS match, and it was a 6.5 Creedmoor. I was on a borrowed rifle, factory ammo, targets out to 800 yards, and it was the same game, 200 to 400 to 800, and shooting left and shooting right, and off a barricade and kneeling and standing silhouette style. And, I don't want to sound cocky, but I ran shop. And I think the reason was I literally did the same thing the day before. My match was on a Sunday morning. Sunday evening, I got on a plane. And Monday, I was shooting center fire. And it's all the same skills. It's all it completely translates. And so like another example of that is like Greg Hamilton and Sean Murphy. I don't know if you know those guys.
No.
They're endurance sniper competitors. Greg works for Proof. Sean works for Night Force. It's a team event. One guy has a bolt gun. One guy has a gas gun. And it's like an endurance event. So they might hike 30 miles and engage 100 targets, camp out in the woods, and engage 100 targets in the mountains.
Really? I've never heard of that before. That's cool.
Yeah. Mammoth Mountain is the Mammoth Sniper match is kind of the big one. But these guys are the best. Like, they win it every single year.
Yeah.
And Greg, who's in the book, and I write a lot about this, he's become a good buddy. all his training for that like elite level centerfire precision shooting is at 50 yards with a Voodoo shooting CCI standard. All of his training, because you can get a know your limits rack, which has a 1 inch target down to a 1/4 inch target. He puts that at 50 yards, and then he shoots standing up. And you hit the 1 and you ring it, and you hit the 3/4 and you ring it, and eventually you get to that 1/4 inch and you find a weakness because you can't hit the 1/4 inch standing unsupported. And so he knows what to train, and you train that and you drill that. Then you build some barricades, and you can practice off a tank trap, practice prone if you're a hunter, practice sitting, practice kneeling. And it's all at 50 yards. It's all with ammo that's affordable now if you can find it.
Yeah.
Is the rub, but. And you can shoot 200 rounds after work. You know what I mean? Like off your back deck if you live in the country.
Yep.
And that's all things that translates to when you're sitting in the field looking at an animal, or if you're in a match and have to shoot unsupported, it's the same body mechanics. It's the same trigger pull. The only real difference is the recoil has to be mitigated a little differently.
Yeah.
But now with like heavy rifles, like a 6.5 or 6mm Creedmoor, like the recoil,
and I noticed like my Bergara that I have, with the ported barrel on it, you don't feel the recoil. You have 300 Win Mag, and I was like, I was ready my shoulder to be rocked, and it was not like that at all, other than it being like a fucking cannon, how loud it was. But it is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And and what you were saying there, for especially the guys in the East, whether it's playing Western hunts or even hunting whitetails in the Appalachian Mountains, like being able to get that practice in without having to spend all that money on the ammo for your gun and trying to go to a range and do all that stuff. Like, I don't know, I live in the country. I could shoot off my back porch. I could shoot in my yard. I could do whatever. And being able to do that with, a rimfire rifle would completely change the game, be able to keep you consistent with your practice.
Yeah, and so in the book I go through like all the different rifles and options.
Yeah.
Like I have some Voodoos that cost more than my car, and then I have some like a Tikka, which is a rad. The Bagara is a rad gun. You can get them for like $600, $700, and then you can get a Know Your Limits rack for like maybe I think I got mine for $139 shipped to my house, and then you can get CCI ammo at Walmart when they have
What's
it.
a no limits rack again? Can you explain that?
So a know your limits rack is a swinging rack. So it's like two almost like tripods with a bar on it.
Okay.
And then there's a 1 inch spinner that hangs, or 2 inch, and then it goes progressively smaller. So you have multiple spinners on the same rack.
Okay.
Right? And so the idea is you learn your limit, right? So let's say we're shooting prone at 50 yards with a 22. 2 inch all day long, you're spinning that thing. So you go to 1 inch, good rifle, good shooter, all day long. Go to 1/2 inch, like I'll spin that sucker all day long at 50 yards if I'm prone with my good stuff. You get into a 1/4 inch, you get into an 1/8 inch, which is just a stick of a target. Like you're shooting at something like a few matchsticks wide. All of a sudden it gets spicy, Yeah. And then you can find your limit for whatever that body position is, whatever you're shooting, and then just train it and drill it, and you'll see progress as you get smaller and smaller. But you can do that. I guess where I was going with that, with like get it with like a Tikka or Bagara or CCI, an inexpensive target. You could be into a training kit like that for less than $1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like buying a custom 300 Win Mag. It's not like, so it's like, it's still expensive. Like $1,000 is a lot of money for me or for anybody. But if I'm going on a late season elk hunt of a lifetime, like I want to be dialed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see a critter at 500 yards and wonder if I can make the shot.
Yeah. No, and that's, I know like when I went up to Alaska, that's like a dream hunt for me. All I want to do is go to Alaska ever since I was a kid, and I got to go, and I missed a caribou at 450, I think it was.
Yep.
And I was like, man, it ended up working out where I shot one at 250, but I would have really been I was down on myself about it, being like, I didn't practice enough. I didn't have, my shit aligned to be able to do that. And and you don't want that to happen. You don't want that to be the case. Like, and yes, if you're doing something like that, spending, up to $1,000, if you really want it bad enough, you'll figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah. And you can do it for less than that.
Yeah.
I had, the one that kind of haunts me and sort of led me into this was like, it was 6, maybe 8 years ago. I did a rifle hunt in Colorado for 3rd season, and it was a shit show. And then finally on the last day, I got in on him, and I found a bull, a 6x6 public land bull, full bedded down. He was facing me, fully bedded down, and I ranged him. I had a 7 millimeter Rem mag, and I ranged him, and it was 427 yards. And I'd never shot that rifle past 200 yards. And the guy was like, shoot him, go for it, shoot him. And another guy on the trip winged an animal, and we didn't recover it. And I'm like, I'm super conservative on shots. I'm into the shooting. I'm not a long-range hunter, though. Yeah. I want to get close to the critters. That bow hunter stuff takes over when it gets into killing critters. And I was like, no, dude, it's too far. And he's like, oh, you sure of that? I was like, no, he's too far. Let's try to go in. I tried to move in on him, and I busted him. Now, like, having gone through all that stuff we just talked about, like a bull elk at 420 yards with a Rem mag, 7 millimeter, dude, I'm taking that shot all day long. It's because the training's in, the time is in. Yeah, and like literally 95% of that has been with a 22.
That's crazy. I love it because it's such an approachable way of doing it. We were talking earlier about Todd and his, approachable way to fitness. That's an approachable way for the regular guy that wants to go out west or whatever it might be and be dialed.
Yeah. And who doesn't have a 22 in their safe?
I know. Everybody does.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You don't even need a new gun. You just need to have one you're comfortable in that can shoot well at 50 yards. Yeah, now you need ammo.
Now you need ammo. That's a little bit of a barrier, but no, that's awesome.
I follow some of these rimfire groups on Facebook, and occasionally there'll be a post, and he's like, yeah, I'm in East Japeepee, Arkansas, and the Walmart has CCI. And the guy's like posts a picture of a shelf,
Yeah.
It's like updates on... Guys get so excited when they see it.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that is funny. So, like, you were saying that, most of the time you bow hunt, though, right? Mm-hmm. And so what's your favorite animal to bow hunt, first of all? Do you have one? Or is like a favorite hunt or style hunting?
I really like chasing whitetails at home.
Do you?
I really do. Yeah, and we don't have giant deer. I killed my best one last year for New York. I'll show them to you when we get off here. But I like building the mousetrap. Like I like setting up cameras and looking at fields and thinking they're gonna come out here, and I just like it's like. Not an impressive story to hardcore whitetail hunters, but like the best example for that to me is like we bought a house, we moved out of the city and moved into the country. We were walking through the property, and we have like 40 acres, and people are doing push-ups in front of us.
Yeah, I know. We got Les and Dana doing their hourly 10 push-ups and 10 squats they're doing, so since they don't have time to work out during the day. Yeah. Although I saw Wes all sweaty coming off the mountain earlier.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'm feeling pretty lazy here.
Yeah, we'll let them do it. Wes and I did some. It's kind of slightly gay, but we were holding hands when we were doing it earlier.
Yeah,
together.
Not slightly. That's super gay.
That's full.
Full gay.
That's full gay. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it is.
No judgment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like what I like about whitetails, right? So like we moved to the city, we got 40 acres. It's not great deer country, but like I got enough ground to hunt them. And we were like I was walking through the property, and there was like this hawthorn, and there's kind of an edge where the pines go into hawthorn, which go into a field, and there was this hemlock, and I was like, I'm gonna put a stand right there. Yeah. And then we left, and 2 months later we bought the house and everything, and we moved in September. So I like ran out, put a fucking millennium in that hemlock stand.
Yeah.
And like opening day of the season, I walked in, I got in that stand, and it was just like a doe patrol. Like, I don't even know, 6, 8 deer all in bow range just walked under me, you know? And so like walking into a landscape or a new farm
Yeah.
with big woods and being like, I think this is what's going to happen. And then when it happens,
it's
you
the
got
best
deer under you,
feeling.
dude, nothing better.
Like, yeah, and I really at some point want to own enough property. Like, I talk a lot about big wood stuff, but I want to own a property that's just big enough that I can kind of build it, you know, to my own and get to learn it and do it. Like, that fascinates me.
Yeah.
When people do that, and even like in the big woods, like you're saying, that's why I love scouting so much, because I love walking around and visualizing what could happen and going through all these scenarios. And then when you're actually in that tree in October, November, and something happens like what you visualize, it's like there's no better feeling.
There's nothing. Yeah. You almost don't need to shoot them.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I can just watch does walk in if I'm like, especially on a new spot. It's like, I got this, you know. But then, of course, I get wrapped up and like I'll get a big deer on camera, and I'm like, okay, that's the one, and then it like ruins my fall.
Yeah, man, I struggle with that so much. I've talked about it on this podcast before, but like, I remember I got obsessed over this deer, and I spent like 4 years. And I had one shot, and I actually hit him low. I misjudged the yardage, and he lived. And I just cut him just underneath the armpit, and like I almost made hunting not fun because I was so like intensely focused on this deer. Then I went a couple years of like trying not to focus on any specific deer and just hunting that, you know, moment. Now I'm back on the other side of it, you know, get one giant on camera and I'm like, man, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's just it's funny how it shifts and you know.
I completely have, it goes like year to year. So like we have good deer numbers where I am, so like I'll have a year where it's like it's just doe patrol. I'm gonna just swat does and punch all my tags and bring friends in and like just have fun, and if something happens during the rut, it happens. And then occasionally I'll get if I get an early picture of a good deer, it's like, okay, I'm gonna chill out on the does this year. But it's very like ebb and flow, and I really let like I travel a lot, so like one, like what does my fall schedule look like? 2, like what's on camera? 3, like the Isaacs who work at Black Rifle Coffee, they haven't killed whitetails, like they are so hungry to come hunt with me. So like this year, no matter what shows up on camera, we're gonna just kill the hell out of does opening week. You know, I'm gonna just bring them down, and you know, we're gonna send it, you know. I'm gonna avoid getting wrapped up in antlers for at least, you know, the early part of the season.
It's funny, I was talking to Isaac earlier, so I just met him here today, and he told me that he's like, east to me is anything east of Colorado. He's like, I kind of stayed in my zone, you know, out here, and love chasing mule deer and everything else, and I'm gonna get him on the podcast and talk to him a little bit about that too. But that's fun.
He's killed a couple like really big mule deer, and he's put a lot of people on them too. Like he really knows Utah. His nickname out there is Mule Deer Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. So get him talking about that. He's got freaking awesome stories.
I just want to listen to some of those stories. He showed me some photos, and I was blown away by some of those deer he's killing.
Yeah, he's a good dude. And Junior's awesome. Junior has kind of become like, he is like the house bow technician for Black Rifle Coffee. So like it's such a
dream
cool
position for a younger.
And dude, it's such a cool company. Like they're literally, we have a deal with PSC, and they're bringing in bows for employees. And like if you're into this and want to get after it, like they got like 30 embarks in, and I think just like giving them to employees. Isaacs are setting them up with bows. We're bringing people out. There's half a dozen employees who'd never hunted before, and so like we spun up with Baker, the guy you met, this hunter recruitment project. I brought a new bow hunter out to my place. So like just in the last year since I've been there, I'll bet there's like a dozen Black Rifle Coffee employees who not only got into bow hunting, but killed their first animal with any implement. You know, it's just so much a part of the culture of the company, man. It's rad to see.
And that's one of the reasons why that I've been supporting been purchasing Black Rifle for so long. I remember when I first saw the company or first heard about them, I was like, this is awesome. I love the veteran side of it, and then I've seen what they've done just for everything else, and given one of my good buddy Jeff Ellis from Jack Gear $5,000 check yesterday for what he's doing for veterans with his company. I'm like, Black Rifle just seems like one of the best companies, and just like overall, I just admire that, and it's just, again, that's why I've been part of the coffee club and getting coffee delivered to my door
That's awesome,
for so long, and supporting that brand. It's pretty awesome. You get to work for them.
Yeah, I feel grateful, man.
Yeah,
and like even on the inside, like I have all those same feels for it. Like the way the mission of the company is more to help people, help veterans, and get people outside as it is like make and sell coffee.
Yeah.
Like we just had an all hands meeting with Evan. I'm like, that was the takeaway. It wasn't like, how can we increase output or what is efficiency or, anything like that. It was like, what are we doing to help people?
Yeah.
And it's just neat. It's totally neat to be a part of.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, in the brand, in the coffee, it's selling itself at this point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And it's cool to see them focusing on those other things that are with it, not just, how much can we produce? How can we, make that better?
And that's the thing too. Like we have. I think we have the product, right? Because if you like coffee, like it's really good coffee, and I probably sound like a sales guy because I work there, but honestly, when I got this job, I was surprised. I thought it was Vet Bros, and it was coffee with an AR on the bag, and it was like appealing to half the voting public, and it was like, I'm still going to have to buy the local roast because I've always been a coffee guy.
Yeah.
I'm still going to have to buy the good stuff in town and like put it in that bag. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. Like
the coffee's slamming. We got the ECS stuff the specialty blends that come out.
Yeah.
Like the Rambo one that's
I saw that.
yeah. I mean, it's killer product. So just to have it all, to like have the brand, have the stuff, the product works. Like we're in a sweet spot, man.
Oh, definitely. No, it's cool. I love seeing the different designs, even shirt designs and stuff that come out in the videos. It just cracks me up. Like, I just love watching it and seeing it. Just doing whatever they want, not following any sort of guidelines or what a company should or shouldn't do. Just
let it rip.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Full bore.
Yeah,
but.
Totally.
Anyways, Michael, thanks for coming on. Can you tell everybody where they can find your book? Because when this is released, it'll be out.
Yeah, man, it'll be out there. So it's called Rimfire Revolution, a guide to modern precision 22s. Anywhere books are sold. GunDigestStore.com is probably the best way to get it, but Amazon, everywhere else, it's on Kindle, like audiobook, like the whole.
Oh, an audiobook and too cool.
Yeah.
Did you record it?
I did not.
Or did you have somebody else do it?
I don't know if the audiobook's coming out with the print release. That might be staggered a little bit.
Okay.
But we're definitely going to do it because I don't know about you. I listen to books on phone when I'm driving all the time.
That's where I do most. I'd say probably about 80% of my books. There's some I will read the actual print, but most of them I do driving just because that's when I have the time and I can do it. So.
Well, I'm going to send you a book, and I'm going to try to get you a Know Your Limits rack. So you can put it in your yard in the country where you can shoot, man. Start shooting a 22 at 50 yards off in goofy positions.
I'll be sending you some videos.
Dude, your rifle game is going to like go through the roof.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
As in my mind, I have a picture of where it would go and how I'd do it.
Yeah, awesome.
I can actually shoot out my bedroom window, so.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Well, again, thank you for coming on. Really, really appreciate it, man. Well, now we got to go shoot pretty soon here.
Yeah, dude. We got a knock time in a little bit here, so let's go shoot bows.
Awesome. Hey,
Thanks,
we'll see you, buddy.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of East Meets West Hunt with your host, Beau Martonik. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit eastmeetswesthunt.com, Facebook at East Meets West Outdoors, and Instagram at East Meets West Hunt. If you enjoyed today's episode, please review and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.